Okay, so this is how the bike's turned out. Still got a few little jobs, and the paint is still very soft because I've only painted it last week thereabouts, and it could take several weeks for the paint to harden up, so it looks like I'm going to have to redo parts of it, or at least mask some bits off and blow it over again, because the tank is already just scuffed up just in the matter of 20 minutes, so that's not particularly good, but generally I'm pretty pleased how it's turned out. The overall looks pretty good. The engines come out quite good. It's only dummy. These are the usual what I use on the tops of engines. They're stainless steel ladles from the pound shop, and the square sections here are just plastic drain pipe, black plastic drain pipe which have been blown over with aluminium spray. Weld primer it is. So I've taken all the original labelling off, and I've got the Royal Enfield badges on and 250 watt on the tank, but as I say, it's now got scratched up, so didn't take long for that. There's the other side. So we've got a programming button here on the side of the engine. That's for the sound simulator system, which we've got built in it. It's got the Baofeng rear motor there, 250 watt, yeah, and if we power it up, let's see, and we put it in 0, you can hear the engine. And you can basically program it up to make a different engine noises, and if you give it thumb throttle, push this and hold it, it'll change engine noises. kilometers per hour, or is it 30? That's probably about as fast as I want to go on this, in this little park. Yeah, so basically the cooling fins on the engine are just made from 2mm aluminium sheet, which I've cut up with tin snips. So and then filed them roughly to the right size, drilled a hole in the centres of them. Find that easier enough with a protractor. Right, then I've gapped them, spaced them out with 6mm polycarbonate, which is you can find all over the place, sometimes dumped in the streets where I live, vandalised telephone boxes and bus stops and stuff. That's probably what this has come from. And you basically cut it out with a hole saw with the right size bit in it, and you already end up, you know, you take these inner parts out, the blades out that you're not using, and you end up with a 6mm hole in the centre. And that 6mm hole allows you to put some 6mm M6 stud down through the casing. Now, inside the case, if I can take these two screws out, right, should have done this first, but basically showing you how it's built. Right, if we get that out of there, I should be able to pop the side off like so. I've got a bit of gaffer tape on the inside as insulation, but basically this is welded up aluminium. This is about 3mm, the actual motor casing, 3mm aluminium, which I've, you know, welded an extra section onto. And in here we've got the sound simulator. So what I've done to get this all to work is I've made a dummy carburettor, not especially good looking, but basically it's a dummy carb, which is like an L shape, two pieces of pipe welded together in steel, and I've migged it up and put a £6 air filter off eBay on it. As I've possibly mentioned, this square stuff is actually square drain pipe, PVC, black PVC drain pipe blowed over. So I've got the power running from the battery plus the accelerator wire. Now the accelerator wire, I've used 3-core black mains cable off an old computer lead, and I've cut the plugs off, and that basically gives me the 3 wires. So I've got the positive and negative on this particular unit. It's got a 54 volt battery inside the tank here. Now the 3rd wire, the earth wire, I basically take up, and you need to find the accelerator plug here for the thumb throttle, and you need to trim off the insulation and bear off. On my model it was the white wire. There's 3 wires inside the accelerator lead, and you want to do it on the controller side, not on the thumb throttle accelerator side, if you can. You could have done it further down, but the problem is that wire goes into a number of different plugs, and by the time it gets down to the speed controller, there's one very large cable with all the wires going into it. So that's the brake sensing wires, the speed sensing wires, to tell you how fast you're pedaling, all of that goes back into the little speed controller. Now, because this is a 54 volt battery in here, I've had to fit a adjustable voltage regulator in here and tweak it down to, I've tweaked it down to 12.5 volts. Basically, you adjust a little screw on there. These can be purchased on eBay for around £6 to £7, these little voltage converters, and I've mounted it on a little piece of plastic with the 3 wires into a multi-terminal connector. So basically I can disconnect this and pull that wire back up and out, making sure that first I take the battery off or disconnect the power from the battery. So this here is the sound simulator, and the sound simulator is one of these. You can buy these on various websites, probably mostly Chinese websites. Your electric motorcycle is different from others. Yeah, okay. Sengu. Yeah, very Chinese. You get some instructions with this thing, which are so. You know, there's the Chinese side, and here's the English side. Yeah, basically it says it runs on supply voltage 5 to 18 volts. It says on here. So yeah, I think 12 is basically what it's really looking for, because it says further down, wiring definition red, positive 12, black ground, yellow and green. It says turn signal, supply voltage 0 to 5 volts. Basically, you find the wire that's in there, and the way I did it was I soldered the green wire, which I've taken from my earth wire off my mains flex. I soldered a pin on it, and I basically probed that pin through the insulation until I found the correct wire. Fortunately, my first guess was spot on, and it happened to be the white wire. So that was easy enough to do. I'm going to keep these instructions. Don't know whether I'm going to keep the box, but basically that's the sound system there, and I fitted it in this nice little box by curling this piece of aluminium around in the vise and doing a bit of hammering. And basically this little piece of plastic here is a Marley roofing tile, which I had an offcut lying around of from when I did my well roof some time ago. So it's a nice piece of 3mm thick plastic to make sure that the controller board doesn't touch the casing. I've also fitted a little power switch down here, so I can turn the sound simulator completely off if I want to. Let's see if we can power it up. Basically, if we tab this down on the power control to 0, that way it won't move off, but you can still test throttle engine noise. It just adds a little something to it. To say, it's just a toy really, but a relatively fun one.